Arsenal 2, Liverpool 2 in the title race match. A huge game. Jacob obviously was on a knife edge throughout that match. Just your general emotions, Jacob, after the game. Like, how have you been left feeling?
I'm split in two. My head says that with that Carabao Cup defensive line we ended the game with some of the decisions that went against us in the game, against a really good Liverpool team, 2-2 is a good result. My heart says we should have won that game. My heart says we were in control. My heart says that we gave away a goal we shouldn't have given. My heart says that we had a goal that was good as fucking gold at the end of that game that was taken away from us. And I'm not just going to make excuses with referees. I think the way we played football when we were 2-1 up scares me, because I feel Arsenal at the moment, and because we've had so many games where we're down to 10, it reminds me of a soldier who's come back from war and has got PTSD. And every time his girlfriend sneezes too loud, he tries to pull out an AK-47. It's like every time something goes against us, we think we're down to 10. We bunker in. We get back in the fucking box. It's like, boys, we're winning a game at home against a Liverpool team where Salah hasn't had a fucking shot against us yet. And yet, for some reason, we start shitting ourselves and getting back in our box. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't want to go too sensationalist. This was a good draw. This was a good point at home when we're down to our bare bones in defence. I haven't seen a functioning midfield for Arsenal yet, and it's November. I have not seen a midfield that works for Arsenal, and I've not seen our football this season. And I'm worried. I'm a little bit worried.
I very much agree, Jacob. Last clip we did on the kickoff about Arsenal, you weren't on. But my concern, and I said this with the lads, is when you've got your full strength team, you can be very defensive and know that when you do play the ball forward, the level of individual brilliance that you've got in Odegaard and Saka and the like, they can win you games without really you having to overcommit and really go after teams and then leave yourself vulnerable. But against teams where when you don't have, an Odegaard there, you are going to need other players to commit more and get forward more and throw a bit more caution to the wind than what you're used to doing, because that's how you're going to overwhelm teams. You don't have the same level of quality. Speaking as a Newcastle fan, when, I know that's what we have to do sometimes. You have to take risks. And I was worried that Arteta just doesn't have that mental capacity to roll the dice a bit more, and that he will be too cautious. And although it's that cautiousness, that tactical genius that he has to stop you from conceding, and it will get you in a title race. It's about knowing when to go for it as well in order to win a title and to show that level of aggression. And if you look at the stats in this game, when Arsenal went 2-1 up, they created just 0.05 XG while they were leading between the 43rd minute and the 81st minute, which to your point says bottle jobs a little bit. Not completely in terms of like they didn't bottle the entire game, they came away with a point. But that was the moment where you think to yourself, you don't take your foot off the opponent's neck when you've got them right where you want them. And I felt like they did that a bit.
I want to get the Chelsea lads in on this in a sec, but I just want to say on that, I think a lot with modern football, we talk a lot about mentality. Who's bottling it? Who's not? Is it a case of having the confidence to put your foot on someone's neck? We talk about managers. Is it down to tactics? I think a lot of the time we underestimate when it's just about the talent of the players on the pitch and what they can actually do. And I look at that pitch yesterday, and as I say, it's the midfield that I'm going to be very honest with you and say worries me a little bit, because I think the best midfielder on the pitch for Arsenal yesterday was a 31-year-old Thomas Partey who was playing at right back, and every time Luis Diaz got the ball, his hamstrings started fucking shaking. And he is still the best passer of a football on the pitch for Arsenal. And I'm not having the Odegaard thing. I'm not having the fact that when Odegaard gets injured, there is no other creative midfielder on the pitch for Arsenal. That's not good enough. And that's down to our recruitment this summer. I like Mikel Merino. I like what he did for us yesterday. I like that he wins headers. I like that he wins duels. We've got enough players that win headers. We've got enough players that win duels. We didn't need another one. I think, if I'm going to be totally fucking honest with you, I go all the way back to last summer. £105 million spent on Declan Rice, who was fucking great last season. But let me tell you when he was great. He was great when he had Jorginho stood next to him holding his hands. At the start of the season, I remember watching a Chelsea game with you boys, and I remember sitting there and I was saying he's fucking great, Declan Rice, but we do not progress the ball properly when he's our number 6. He was our number 6 yesterday, and I still see those issues. There was a lot of times in the stadium yesterday where he got the ball in that 6th position, base of the midfield, and we're going, because his first touch isn't quite clean enough. I think he can get there. I think he can get to a level where he can be that 6, like Rodri. But he's not there yet. He's also not a fucking 8. We've tried playing him high up the pitch, second striker style. It doesn't fucking work. He has only looked like £105 million player for Arsenal with Jorginho stood next to him. Mikel Merino is a very similar player to Rice. He's a big guy. He covers ground. He wins duels. Great. Where's the fucking passes? I grew up on Arsene Wenger. I grew up on Nasri, Cazorla, Fabregas, Wilshere. They won fuck all. I'm not saying Arteta's wrong. My fear is we've lent too far into the set piece thing. We've gone gentrified Stoke. We're modern day Burnley, right? And my worry is it's not good enough that there's one attacking midfielder. City lose De Bruyne. They've got Bernardo Silva. Chelsea, how many attacking midfielders have you got? You could fill a fucking team bus with them.
27.
Newcastle have got more attacking midfielders on their books than Arsenal have at this point. I genuinely believe that. This is it. We should have bought a Bruno Guimaraes. We should have brought someone who could pass a ball. Because right now, we've got a year left of Thomas Partey, and you have to give him a fucking contract.
Jacob, Edu won Director of Football of the Year. Edu literally went and got an award for how amazing he was. How the hell have we got into this situation about 4 months later? It doesn't make a lot of sense, mate. We're talking about a 115 million player in Declan Rice. It's a bit weird. For all the shit that we got for Caicedo and Enzo, to say that Declan Rice can't do a pass or can't control the ball.
I'm not saying he can't do a pass. I'm not saying he can't do a pass. What I'm saying is we have not found a system that gets the best out of him yet. He's a fucking brilliant player. He had a great season last season, but he looked at his absolute best when we did 4-2-4 and he had Jorginho sat next to him. And that isn't the future of this team. And we haven't found another system that gets the best out of him. And it's not good enough that losing one player in Ødegaard means you can't control football matches. It's not good enough.
To play devil's advocate, Declan Rice has actually improved, in my opinion, in quite a few areas this season. The problem is,
I agree,
he hasn't then stayed consistent in the other areas. He's almost dropped off a little bit. So I never thought I'd see Declan Rice whipping in set pieces. That ball yesterday to the back stick, I wouldn't normally be glad for an Arsenal goal going in or any goal going in really that's not Chelsea's, right? But do you remember when they VAR'd it? I was so glad that goal got given, because you said about the set pieces there. That was a work of beauty, that ball from Declan Rice there, and the header that went in. But I think that he's showing a bit more ability in his ability to be a bit more box to box. But I think in doing so, I'd agree with you, Jacob. He has lost something in there, and without having that creative player in there, the ticker, the one that moves the ball over. You said there, Santi Cazorla, that is a great example. You could be crying out for a Santi Cazorla right now.
One of those.
That's your long style. You know, you have to be better, you.
Do you know what, though?
Let me just
this isn't the first time, lads.
Can I just quickly say, I'm not saying Declan Rice is shit. I'm not criticising Rice. Rice is one of our best players.
I've already tweeted Jacob thinks Declan Rice is shit.
Yeah, me too.
Midfield. It's the balance of the midfield that I think we're missing someone.
But let's be real. This is not the first time this season. Like, I remember last season, Jacob had a smile from ear to ear, and this was like the best football you'd seen in years, right? Whereas this season, I've heard a lot of times, the best player on the pitch was Thomas Partey. And it's clear as day to me, even though Arsenal are getting results, they're not looking like they're going to win this title. Now, that's fine, because you don't have to look like you're going to win the title until, you're 2 months away from it, right? You've got to peak at the right time, and Arsenal have peaked at the wrong time before. And as long as you're within touching distance, I don't think it's time to panic. But if we're being honest, from what I'm seeing, I'll be very surprised if Arsenal win the league this season, because there's too many components that I'm not seeing. And in a game like that game, where you're 2-1 up and you sit back in the way that you did, it's not inspiring anything, in my opinion. Can we just talk about the decision the referee made to blow the whistle right at the end there when Arsenal went through on goal? There was a challenge in the air for the header. There was also a debatable handball, but the ref blew for the challenge in the air, the header.
Right.
And he blew a good few seconds after, only when Arsenal were then going through on goal. Does anyone think that was the right call? Obviously, I know Jacob won't. Chelsea lad, do you think it was the right call to blow up, or do you think this was bullshit?
When you say the handball, you on about the Havertz one when it comes off?
Yeah, it bounces off his arm.
I mean, listen. How, like, I always bring it back, and it sort of reminds me of when I was arguing the fact that I didn't think the Robert Sanchez penalty incident that was overturned against Liverpool was a penalty, right? And it's funny, there's a common denominator. Liverpool get a lot of stuff going in their way, don't they? But when you jump in the air, right, how are you supposed to jump? Because, like, if you pencil jump in the air, the high likelihood is someone's going to knock into you. You're going to go down injured. You might dislocate your shoulder. You know what I mean? Like, if anyone stands up and jumps right now, and I'm not going to ask anyone to do it, you will jump with your arms up a little bit. So, again, it comes back to the actual letter of the law and the way that things are going. And I understand that things have changed, yeah? The Premier League rules change more often than I change my underwear. But what the problem is
not
with
that
it,
often, by the way.
and that's not often, yeah. The problem is with it is like, it's not an unnatural position. You would be like that if you jumped. So that's the only thing that I could pinpoint it on. My gut instinct, and this is just my gut instinct, was that Arsenal were pretty unlucky there to not be given that goal.
What do you reckon, Josh? Do you disagree?
I think the ultimate proviso of all of this stuff is Anthony Taylor. So you're going to get wrong decisions. I don't know how this guy has a job in the Premier League, to be honest with you. Jose Mourinho said it best, that it's an absolute disgrace. And, he got chased through airports. And we all said that was derisory, but maybe Jose had a point. I do think it's a weird one in that he blows the whistle very early for a challenge which you kind of expect your central defender to make 9 times out of 10, don't you? Like when you're trying to go for that header, Kivior gets in the air and he wins it brilliantly. I mean, Szoboszlai was the one underneath it. He was screaming before he even, really got touched. It was a bit of a weird one. So yeah, I do think it was
right.
harsh, to be honest with you.
My thing, just before Jacob chimes in, because you got to have your say on this, bro, but I have to be honest. When I watched it a few times, and I watched the referee every time, and the initial thing, he sort of goes to pull his whistle up, then he puts it down, and he allows play on, and then when it bounces into the box and it becomes a goal scoring opportunity, he goes up, and then he blows, and I think to myself, you've just bottled that. There's a rhythm to football matches where referees, they respond to the rhythm as much as they respond to the challenges themselves. Sometimes you go on autopilot and go, this is where I would ordinarily blow up. And they get into a habit of blowing up just in case it becomes something. And they don't almost want to create a situation by where they are then responsible of, you didn't blow up, they went through and scored, and that's your fault. And I think he blew up in order to cover himself in the event that he goes in the back of the net in case he missed it. But The reality is, I think that was a more than fair challenge on for the header. I certainly don't think he blew up for any handball, and the handball was totally not a handball in my opinion anyway. So I think that was basically nothing short of a disgrace, and actually I think Arsenal fans have got every right to feel really pissed.
The only thing I'll say before I let Jacob come in, because I think what I'm really excited about is that he's got props. And I think that's the first time we've ever had props on the kickoff.
Props on the show.
I'm excited to see it. I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really excited to see it. But what I would say is, the whistle goes very early, and then the Liverpool defenders therefore don't react and defend, and therefore there is
the whistle went late, Josh. The whistle went.
Trent runs into the post. Trent runs into the goal where he's so keen. They do react.
Yeah, but it was about the other defenders, wasn't it?
But the thing he blew up for was the leap, right? So the leap happens, and it's seconds later. It's not like within a second. It's about 3 or 4 seconds after the challenge happens that he blows up, because his hand goes there, then he goes down, and then he watches and he goes, oh fuck, it's gone through. Now I'll blow up. So I think he blows very late, personally. And now, a word from our sponsors. Can you believe people used to use the same trimmer on their balls as their face and head? That would never happen these days. Not now that Manscaped's around. Introducing the Beard and Balls Bundle, featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger. A trimmer for the moneymaker and another for the boys downstairs. Now first up, I've got to shout out the Lawnmower 5.0. This thing gets your balls smoother than butter, yeah? spreadable. What does that even mean? I'm sorry. I get excited doing these. 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, and you can choose between the precise trim or the smooth finish. And not to mention, it's waterproof, so you can do it in the shower. And I can't forget the beard headshot. I mean, do you think this just happened by accident? Don't be stupid. That beard headshot can give you a neat and tidy stubble look, or you can go full true Geordie if you fancy it. It's got a titanium-coated steel T-blade and 20 length options, so you can achieve any style you want with a twist of the zoom wheel. And both have up to 60 minutes of runtime with an LED charge indicator. You'll never be caught mid-trim with a dead battery. So get your beard and balls bundled today. Click the link in the description below. Go to manscaped.com and use the code THEKICKOFF, all one word, all block capitals, for 20% off and free shipping. But for now, enjoy the video.
Go on, Jacob. This is your moment.
Go on, Jacob.
Get the shirt.
Floor's yours, son.
Get the shirt.
Let's go blow by blow. Let's go blow by blow. First of all, the header from Kiwior. Kiwior makes that header in our box. Everyone's saying what a fucking great defensive header that is. That's the perfect example. If you move that incident around the pitch, it gets refereed completely differently, and I have no idea why. I've seen people say that Kiwior is using his arm against Szoboszlai. I've tweeted it on my Twitter. There's a slow motion clip. Kiwior makes his jump before there's any contact with Szoboszlai. As Joey correctly pointed out, if you're in the air and someone backs into you, you have to put a fucking arm out. Otherwise, you're going head over arse, you're breaking your neck. Like, you know that from rugby. You cannot make contact with someone when they're in the air. It's something that Harry Kane used to do all the fucking time. He was a genius for it. He'd wait for a defender to jump, then he'd back in. If anything, it's a foul on Kiwior, because Kiwior makes the jump before the contact with Szoboszlai. But fuck it. No one gets hurt. Arsenal win the ball fair and square. The next one is the Kai Havertz supposed handball. Now, what I've got here is my 3-year-old daughter's Arsenal shirt. Right? John, letter of the law, I believe, is the T-shirt line. Is that correct? The letter of the law.
I have been told, yes. I'm not a qualified referee.
No,
I'm not a qualified referee, but that is what I've been told.
You're as close as we've got. You're the most middle-class person on this panel, thus you're as close to getting to a referee as we're going to get.
Thank you. I'll wear the full kit next time.
This is quite clearly a T-shirt. And so I think we can say the T-shirt line is the bottom of his sleeve. Now, helpfully, Arsenal have written the word Rwanda on the sleeve of our T-shirts. I believe the purpose of that is so that when we've got decisions like this, we can say, if you see the word Rwanda under a ball, the ball's above the T-shirt line. Go back and watch it again. You can clearly see the word Rwanda, the wonderful word Rwanda, the reminder of the beautiful country of Rwanda underneath the ball. It's not a fucking handball.
The wonderful word.
We win it clean as a fucking whistle. And exactly as you say, Brian, why does he blow the whistle there? If you really want, if you've got any suspicion that there's something wrong in the build up to that goal, let it play, go and watch it. Let it play, and then if you want to, you can overturn your decision to let it play. That's the whole fucking point of VAR.
He didn't do that. The reason he didn't do it is because he was shitting himself of like, this is going to be on me, and he bottled it in that moment, and that's a robbery, that. That's disgraceful.
I am looking at the still now, Jacob. Just to say, I am looking at the still now.
Yes.
If you could see Visit Rwanda on that shirt, your eyes are very good. I can't see it.
No.
And also, what I will say is, Kai Havertz, he wears the long sleeve underneath. It's interesting, isn't it?
I can see
the
Rwanda.
long sleeve is quite deceptive.
They don't move the fucking logo.
Deceptive.
They don't move the logo, do they? You've not got.
Jacob, I paused the video and now it looks like lower elbow to me. I've paused the video.
Lower elbow. That's mad.
I'm looking at it right now.
Mad. I'm looking at it right now. That is never lower elbow. That is never lower elbow.
I actually think that might. I've seen basketball moves that are similar to that. To be honest with you,
you're lower elbow. T-Rex's arms.
I was in the stadium and I couldn't. So I was texting my boys on WhatsApp. Liverpool fans were saying, oh, I think that's 50-50. I don't really know. In the moment,
Jacob, I've got to call this. You're full of shit. You were in the stadium and from your seat, you could see that it was above the Rwanda bit.
No, I couldn't see it in the stadium. That's what I'm saying. I couldn't see it. So I was texting people going, what the fuck's going on?
Let me bring this on to a final question. Bless Joey. He's got an injured mouth from boxing, just to be absolutely clear. The final question of this clip, for me, is Arteta aggressive enough, strong enough to push Arsenal over the line, or is this defensiveness and this maybe this weakness in his game going to cost Arsenal in the long term? I'll start with the Chelsea lads, obviously.
I'd actually say until we see, and obviously, look, I know we have seen other managers finish above Arteta during his time, but during the run where they've actually been challenging for titles, until we see a Slot, for example, finish above Arteta, I'd actually say maybe, yeah, you can answer that he is aggressive enough to be able to do it, because Pep is the word that I can never say, an anomaly or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So to compare it to, you're not aggressive enough because you haven't been able to pit Pep to it. Well, only one man has on one occasion, really, in Klopp since Pep's second season. So until we see someone like a Slot potentially do it, then you'd have to give the benefit of the doubt to Arteta. And obviously I do think he shows that sort of resilience, but this is a season where we're going to find it all, because if Arne Slot comes in here, man, even if you don't win the league, if he finishes second and you boys finish third, big questions.
To your point, Joey, and I'll go to Josh with this one. Currently, given the context of the question that I just asked, mate, do you think Arne Slot is showing that promise, is showing that potential, that because he is a bit more adventurous, because maybe he is a bit more on the front foot right now, do you think he could show Arteta up a little bit by having that bit more of aggression to the game?
I almost want to see a few more data points with Arne Slot. Like, I do think, to answer your question, I do think he has the potential to be there, and he could absolutely finish second this year. And in a points deduction season, that might win him the title. But I think until we see them play more high level games and are tested more. In fact, a lot of the Chelsea fans were saying it was the Chelsea game that was the biggest test for Liverpool up to that point, and they passed that with flying colours. And I think that shut a lot of people up and proved to a lot of people they could compete. But I want to see a few more.
Are you
data
leaning
points.
More yes or no currently?
I'm leaning, to be honest with you, if you're asking me to put my, my
not a final line, but leaning.
But I honestly do think that Arsenal will finish above them this season. Yeah, I do. I don't think this form. Yeah, I don't think this form is going to continue in the same way that it is, and that's nothing against Liverpool. I just think they've come out of the start of the season incredibly well. They're going to have a lot of more difficult games coming up, some Champions League fixtures. I think they will start to stumble in those sort of higher pressure games. But it's on a knife edge between those two. It really is.
Jacob, I'll let you have final word, mate. How are you feeling about that? The question of Arteta and is he aggressive enough, and is Slot currently showing a bit more of that and potentially putting the fire under Arteta?
I'll give you the flip on Slot. They should have beaten us yesterday. If you're talking about they came to the Emirates with all those players missing, Saka was half fit, he had to go off quickly. I don't know if Salah had a shot, and he was up against Yuri and Timber, who could barely run in the second half. We finished the game with a Carabao Cup defence. Miles Lewis-Skelly, an 18-year-old midfielder playing left back. Kivior, Ben White moved in. Thomas Partey, who can't run, playing right back. If Liverpool are serious about wanting to win this title, you have to look at that and say that's points dropped. And I tell you what, I watched the Chelsea-Liverpool game. I wasn't blown away by Liverpool in that game. In terms of Arsenal, you've heard my worries about our midfield, about the fact that we've lent really hard into winning duels, winning headers, scoring from set pieces. We bought another big lad in Mikel Merino. We haven't bought another passer of the ball. I have to give the manager and the team a little bit of patience. I don't know what plan A is this season, because we haven't had enough players fit to do it at any point. I don't know what our back four is. I think it's Calafiori left back. Not really sure. I don't know what our first choice midfield is. I guess Rice, Marino, Erdegaard, but Partey's too good to not play. I don't know. I don't know if we're actually going to drop Havertz back into midfield and start playing Gabby Jesus up front, if he could start finishing his fucking dinner when he hasn't scored a goal in 24 games. I don't know what plan A is for Arsenal. And it reminds me a little bit of what you see from the best Pep Guardiola teams. In October, you don't really know what's going on. In November, you're going, where's Foden? Is Grealish playing? What's going on with their midfield? By April, they're fucking live and kicking. And the test for Arsenal is that we're only 5 points off. We're 5 points off Man City, and Man City are winning a lot of games by 1 goal. This does not look like the dominant City of years ago. And we know they're not getting Rodri back this season. This season is an opportunity. Arsenal have got to go away twice in the next couple of weeks. We've got to go to Newcastle. Newcastle aren't in the best of form, but we don't have any defenders. We've got to go to Chelsea, and that game's going to be a fucking tough game. If we can get through those games with 4 points, our run in after that, we've got 10 games that look very winnable. And by Christmas, I think you could be looking at Arsenal and saying, okay, they got their players back. They reconfigured that midfield a little bit and they started cooking. Because let's be real. We've come away from a Man City away game where I'm heartbroken because they equalised late. I'm coming away from Liverpool and I'm talking about disallowed goals because we should have won. And we're doing that without our captain. We're doing that with a lot of players not fit. If we can get players fit, what are we doing in these games? We're winning them. So I've still got faith that we can do it this season. I've still got faith we can work it out. But I do have concerns about that midfield and how they keep the ball.